you all today? Are you good? I hope you're good. I'm really busy today. I was working at the library, which I do on a pretty much daily basis. It's really fun. I love working with all the books, and my boss is really nice. Really cool about making sure I have my own schedule and everything. I'm also house sitting for a friend who has 3 dogs. And these dogs are like the sweetest dogs. They love you. They love to jump up and say hello to you and give you puppy kisses when you walk in the door. But they're very high energy. And so I was trying to think about things I could make this video about. And I was talking to my girlfriend last night. And she's like, hey, you should make a video about theater stories. And I said, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. But I am kind of stressed and busy. And when I am stressed and busy, I like to laugh. So how can I make this a funny video? And then it came to me. Stories of theater screw-ups. Because if there's one thing anybody who has ever done any amount of theater can tell you, it's that things go very wrong. It's part of the reason why I'm doing film as opposed to theater, because I, for one, am always very embarrassed by my theater screw-ups, even though I know logically in my head that the audience probably didn't notice them. But it makes me feel better to not have those, put out for the world to see, which is why I'm doing film. But having had most of my acting experience be in the theater, I can tell a bunch of different stories of times when I have done things very, very wrong. In fact, the first show I ever did with Lindsay, another one of the directors at Riverland, she's a wonderful, wonderful woman, and she's a great director to work with. My first show with her was when I was 15, and she cast me in this French comedy called Ring Round the Moon. Ring Round the Moon was about these twin brothers, and they're fighting over... No. This girl loves one, but is marrying the other because she can't get the attention of the other one. There we go. And I was playing this character called Capulet, who about, I want to say a third of the way through the show, gosh, this was forever ago, meets up with an old friend of hers that she hasn't seen in a decade. And so as I'm doing that scene, the first mistake I make is that I'm supposed to drop this giant green feather boa that I have. I'm supposed to drop that on the floor. Because later I come back on and I tell this friend about the fact that I told them I needed to come back for my feather boa. Only, I am a 15-year-old Mormon who has just started high school, who has never done any serious theater. I'd only ever really done school plays, basically. I hadn't even done a high school show yet because I don't think they'd cast one at that point. Had they? I don't remember. I don't think I'd done even a high school show at that point. So I had done all shows where I was just in the chorus, basically, and it didn't really matter what I did because we were small children. So, starting high school for Mormons means that they start this thing called seminary, which is an early morning Bible study. And mine happened to take place at 6:45 a.m., which meant that if I wanted to shower and get ready for school and my day, I needed to be up at 5:15. I was used to getting up at around 7, so this was a significant reduction in sleep for me. So about halfway through the run of this show, I make the mistake and I don't drop the feather boa. So I'm already feeling kind of crummy about myself, so I go backstage to wait for my next entrance because the friend has some speech before I come back on, and I'm sitting there. And suddenly, the main actor in this show, his name was Jordan, he was very nice, is shaking me awake, going, you need to be on stage, because apparently I had fallen asleep backstage. Yeah. 11 o'clock rehearsals will do that to you if you have never had that lack of sleep before. It was crazy, and I felt awful, but I got back on stage and I did the scene, and I'm sure the audience just kind of thought that the other characters must be extraordinarily unobservant if they didn't see that I still had my feather boa. But yeah, that was my first major screw-up that I'd ever done in a show. The second one was 2 shows after that. We were doing a musical called Drowsy Chaperone. And Drowsy Chaperone, it's a really fun, high-energy show. It involves a ton of dancing. And we're getting to this scene where we need to do the Charleston, a lot. For full minutes, we are doing the Charleston. So I'm swinging my arms and I'm kicking my feet. And I'm wearing my own shoes because I'm still only 16, 17. I hadn't decided that I wanted to do this professionally yet. And I'm just sort of, doing my dance. And my shoe just kind of kicks off onto the middle of stage. So this is random shoe in the middle of the stage. I can't get to it because my choreography is all the way over here. And I'm still doing the Charleston. You're not supposed to ever be on stage without a shoe if you can avoid it. So I'm just sort of sitting there going, oh, great. She's gonna yell at me now. Yay. She didn't, by the way. Lindsay was directing that one again. She's pretty cool. She didn't yell at me for that. Mercifully. And I get back off stage after that dance because, you know, still 16, 17, very insecure. And I'm like, my shoe. Oh, crap. My shoe. Because I hadn't grabbed the shoe. Luckily, somebody else had grabbed it and brought it backstage for me. And I was like, yes, thank you, kind soul. Thank you. The final screw up I'm going to tell you about today is actually like a pair of them. Because this came from the first show that I ever worked with Susan, who's the third director that I've worked with at Riverland. Also amazing. Also one of my favorite people. Both she and Lindsay are going to have their own videos later where I just extol their virtues because they deserve it. But the first major thing that I did in front of Susan was I auditioned for Young Frankenstein. And I thought Lindsay was directing that one because I was kind of a derp and I didn't check things ahead of time. And Lindsay had invited me on Facebook to the audition event, so I'm like, oh, she wants to cast me. Cool, let's go. And I go to the audition and I walk in, and it's not Lindsay sitting where the director sits, it's Susan. And I am very confused. So I go up on stage and I'm talking to one of my other actor friends, Emily. She's a pretty cool person too. All my friends are cool people. I'm lucky like that. I'm talking to Emily, and I'm just like, who is this strange person? And Emily's like, yeah, that's Susan. Susan's cool. Just be cool. Calm down, little bean. You're fine. And I am so confused and flabbergasted by having this new person in front of me. Because, like, keep in mind, I'd only ever auditioned for Lindsay and Jerry at the college at this point. That when Susan says, okay, everybody knows stage right and stage left, and I go, yeah, I do, and she tells the stage right people to stay on stage, I just kind of walk off, completely forgetting that I was stage right. And so Susan's like, there should be one more of you. There's one of you missing who, oh, wait, Charlie, weren't you stage right? Because, yeah, she knew my name. Apparently I'd worked with her as a very small child, doing this thing called Kids College, which Riverland puts on every year for, like, I think it's 8 to 12-year-olds, if I'm remembering correctly. And Susan had taught an acting class there, and I had taken it, and it was super fun. I didn't immediately connect her with that right away at that audition. So yeah, the first impression I made to Susan was, can't remember stage right and stage left. She cast me in that show for some wonderful reason. I will always love her for that, because it was great to work with her. And we're just having so much fun building this giant musical with, like, monsters and cool sets. And we have, like, this entire castle built up on stage. And part of it is this swirling bookcase. You're supposed to be able to turn it around so that we have, like, a secret passage from the scene in the movie. Which is, if you haven't seen that movie, go watch that movie. It's got Gene Wilder in it. It's amazing. It's, like, just the most hilarious thing. Go watch that movie. But yeah, there's this swiveling bookcase. And the way that they did that was they built a base for the bookcase to stand on, which popped out from the doorway the bookcase was in. And for some reason, every single night, I forgot that that base extended beyond the doorway. And so I would bump the back of my ankle into that base very hard every night. And I would always remind myself, oh, you need to be aware of the base. Because if you're not aware of the base, you're going to keep bumping your leg. And it was getting to be, like, just this ridiculous thing. Because, like, the more I tried to get it into my head, the less it worked. And this all came to a head one particular night. There's the scene where all of the villagers, which included me, are standing at the door of the castle trying to talk to Dr. Frankenstein. And the monster comes bursting through the door and we all back up yelling. And one night, I was, like, just slightly more tired than usual. And I was just kind of watching the scene going, and out pops the monster. And I wasn't fully prepared. So I just, like, leap backward away from the monster, hit my ankle on the base of that bookshelf, and fall right over and land on my butt. I just sort of, land on my butt in front of everybody in the audience. What I'm thinking is, they thought I was taking my acting very seriously and I was a good villager. So I'm hoping that's what it was, but that's what they were thinking it was, at least. But no, I'm sorry, no. I accidentally landed on my butt because I couldn't remember that the bookcase had a wider little hold-up base than I thought it did. Anyway, thank you for listening to me, good gracious, go on about my theater fails. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found them funny. And I hope that if you want to do theater, it doesn't turn you off theater. It feels really bad in the moment, but you get done with the show and you look back on it and you go, yeah, that was funny. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next week. Goodbye, my lovelies.